Bella Elwood-Clayton was born in Melbourne and moved to Vancouver, Canada, where she spent most of her childhood and high school years. Bella worked as a model and took part in fashion shows, television commercials, and magazine photo shoots. Later on, Bella took to the jungle to undertake ethnographic research about body art, tattoo, and social change in Indonesia with a crew from National Geographic. This documentary continues to air from a wide range of international locations. In the year 2000, Bella was offered a full scholarship by the Australian government to do a PhD. She then conducted ethnography in the central Philippines about young women's sexual and reproductive health. As the Philippines is the texting capital of the world, her research followed suit. Bella became regarded as an international mobile phone expert, speaking about the relationship between love and technology around the globe. Throughout her postgraduate degree, Bella was the recipient of numerous grants, scholarships, and other numerous achievements as the years passed. She now lives in Australia and writes a sex and relationship column each Friday for the newspaper MX in Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane. Do Filipino women become more promiscuous using the technology of mobile text messaging?
I wouldn't say that mobile phone use translates to Filipinos being more promiscuous, because as a whole, they certainly aren't promiscuous. First sex is with a man they love in 9 out of 10 cases, perhaps even more than that. But it does promote a more liberal, playful, seductive language. Filipinos will express themselves in ways which they wouldn't were they face-to-face. And the repertoire, which is fringed with sexual allusion and warmth and almost a teasing nature, becomes a common part of mobile phone use. Mobile phone use in terms of sex and seduction doesn't translate to in a physical sense necessarily. What it does do is it speeds up the process of the feeling of being in love, because the person is more constant in your everyday life. I went to the Philippines to find out what life is like for young women, and I discovered shortly upon being there that texting and the mobile phone is central to young people's life. And so my research, although I was still looking at courtship and first sex and contraception, my research became more and more concentrated on the mobile phone use and how it's changing the landscape of the Philippines. The mobile phone in the Philippines, I discovered, is a tool of seduction, a tool of deceit, a way to maintain family cohesion in a time of economic crisis, a huge exodus of Filipinos working overseas. And most importantly for my research, it's a tool for modern-day love. They refer to the Philippines as Asia's text Casanova, and there's over 300 million texts that pass the archipelago every single day. And a lot of these texts have to do with romance and wooing one another. For young Filipinas particularly, the mobile phone provides a site where they can communicate and explore or play with their sexual personas, because there's no one there to evaluate the nature of exchange. It's a private form of communication. With the mobile phone, young Filipinas feel a sense of liberation from traditional face-to-face constraints influenced by Catholic culture and being in a society where there's very little privacy. The forerunners of mobile communication are Filipinos. This is the texting capital of the world. It's Asia's text Casanova, and it's the most successful technology ever to be introduced into the Filipino culture. Why is that? It has to do with practical reasons, such as landlines being notoriously unpredictable and unreliable, telephone companies being corrupt, and the inexpensive cost of mobile phones. It costs about 4 cents American to send one message. So families who are separated due to migration overseas, friends who want to remind each other of their care or concern, and young lovers wanting to woo each other rely on this medium to communicate in novel ways. I've written a paper called Desire and Loathing in the Cyber Philippines. And in that, I talk about different examples where the mobile phone is both a tool for love and seduction, but also a tool to express anger. Instead of having face-to-face conflict, many people are arguing over text, breaking up with their boyfriends or girlfriends over text, and taking situations that are normally quite personal and delivering them in the cyber world, because there's less embarrassment and there's less consequences, in a sense, of communicating that way. So by having a cell phone or a mobile phone, they can communicate with boys who are courting them, or strangers, which is a very large phenomenon throughout the Philippines, the anonymous texter. They can develop quite intimate text relationships with unknown men, or men not in their locale, from different geographical places. And it's not that uncommon for these cyber relationships to develop into embodied relationships, and for mobile love to become physical love. And for all Filipinos, in terms of communication, what the mobile phone is providing is a site to communicate in ways that they might not were they face-to-face. During the reception, a host read the following passage to the guests. For people close to Letitia, her love affair with the captain is a complicated web of text messages, psychology, and suspense. Letitia and the captain started exchanging text messages last year. While the captain continued chasing the elusive Abu Sayyaf in Basilan, Letitia actually wrote verbatim in her journal every single SMS with the captain, as well as her responses, complete with the exact times and dates. And he writes in brackets, or said in brackets, of course it has a good number of intimate text messages in there, but I will leave those confidential details to your imagination. And from there, Letitia analyzed the real captain. Indeed, text messaging has come a long way in the Philippines. And so, after all those more-than-you-can-count text messages and a not-so-secret rendezvous in Iloilo, Letitia and the captain finally take one step further to build a new life together on their own as husband and wife. And they would put together a family of laughter, understanding, selflessness, and great, great love.